Hi everyone, this is That Brahmbish and I'm your host Nalani Salvasingham. Joining me today, I have the lovely ladies of amuthalearns. We have Sharannya Mohanaraj. You want to say hi, Sharannya?
Hello.
Okay. We have Supanki Kalanathan.
Hi.
And we have Manju Ravindran.
Hello.
So collectively, these ladies are known as Fearless Avvaiyaar. But before we get to that amazing name, I want to first just have a one-on-one with each of you because I actually know all of you, which is kind of crazy. But I don't know if all of you know how you know me. But Sharannya, obviously, when amuthalearns first came out, I was like, who's doing this? Because it's so like secretive, I feel like no one knew whose faces were behind it. And it was just like all over Instagram. And I was like, who are these ladies? I just figured it was ladies, but I was like, who are they? Who are they? And it's such a great idea. And when you reached out, I was like, oh, Sharannya is part of this. I know Sharannya from New York. What are you up to nowadays, by the way?
Well, I'm an HR professional. That's my day job. This is my other job. No, I wouldn't say other job. It's like it's our other part of my life now. That's part of life now. So yeah, I've known you from York more than a decade, but we don't want to say how old we are. From dance teams to like I guess that's what I told them from TSA. That's how I know you, Nalani.
Yeah.
And yeah, we lost touch in between, but yeah, but it seems like I've known you forever.
Oh, for sure. And when you told me Supanki was part of it, you're like, oh yeah, Supanki, she was at your wedding. I don't know if you, I'm like, of course, like I know
Yeah.
Supanki. Supanki, you did the Tamil, like, I guess like you put it in like layman's terms, like the translation of all the mantrams and stuff. And like, I have to tell you, I didn't get to like thank you enough on the day of because you had to like rush back to Ottawa. And I think you came just for that, which I'm so grateful for. But everyone kept mentioning that. Like that was like one of the highlights of the Hindu ceremony. They loved your translation. I wish I could have actually paid attention, like, because I was just like a ball of nerves on that day. But like, thank you so much again for doing it. But you're like kicking ass and taking names in Ottawa right now. So you want to let us know a little bit about what you're doing?
Well, first of all, I want to start off by saying you have an amazing husband. He's actually the one who encouraged me to do that. I did the translations of Hindu ceremonies into simple terms in Tamil and English at her wedding because he saw me just do it randomly for my friend's wedding. And then he said, you should actually do it. So he actually got me to do it at so many of his weddings that he coordinated. Yeah. And he's an amazing guy. Like every time I ask him for anything to do back home or like any charity related, he's always on board. And so when he told me he's getting married, I'm like, I hope this girl is a nice girl. I'm like, this guy really deserves it. And then when I was at your wedding, I'm like, wow, this girl is so pretty. And then I kept telling him too. I'm like, oh, your wife's so pretty. And then I found out you're a lawyer, and I'm a lawyer as well. Yeah. And I listened to your first podcast talking about like how your journey as a lawyer and how a lot of people didn't even believe you were a lawyer. And it's the same thing. Like right. I work for the federal government and some people think I'm a legal assistant or definitely paralegal, but never a lawyer. So it's like sometimes I have to keep saying, yeah, I'm a lawyer. So I completely feel you. And I'm so happy to be here to talk about Amudha, which is another passion project of mine.
Oh, thank you, Supanki. And Manju.
I figured it out. I was like, how can she know me? I don't know her. But I figured it out. Oh my God. I've known you the longest.
Yeah. Yeah. Since, I mean, like my earliest memories is from when I was like 3. But like, when I didn't even know you were part of it, because Sharannya only initially mentioned Supanki, but I knew there was another person. And then when you guys put that fabulous picture of you guys outside, like, like this on the ground, like I was like,
oh my God,
I know this chick, like I know her. So like,
wow.
The story, you could say your story because you're a little bit older than me, so.
I just remember that you used to be come to Donna's house across the street, and we all used to play together when we were kids.
Yeah,
she was a bit younger than me for sure, but I just remember you were the cutest little kid, and I even have like my uncle. I have a picture of you with my uncle because you were so cute. Like everyone wanted to take pictures with you.
But do you remember that I used to actually live in Donaka's house?
Yeah.
So it was actually our house first. We lived there.
Ah.
So I remember coming over to you. Like, so we moved out right before my fourth birthday. We moved.
Yeah.
So I remember coming over to your house, and we lived in a bungalow, and you had like a third floor from what I can remember. So it was like, oh, stairs going up to another level. Like, this is absolutely crazy. And you guys used to have those, like, the spaces between your stairs. Like, I used to be so scared because I'm like, like, people could just fall through this.
Yeah.
Me being so small, I'm like, I don't know if this is designed for children. But I could still picture it. Do you guys have monkey bars in your backyard?
Yeah, so it wasn't my house, but it was my uncle's house, and it was the house. Everyone who first came to Canada would stay there for a bit before they found their footing. But yeah, we used to have monkey bars in the backyard, and I just remember like we in the neighborhood there was a couple of families that we used to always play together. Even when you moved away and I moved away, we still came back and played in that neighborhood.
Yeah, there's so many Tamil families there, and everyone was so friendly with each other. I guess because it's a new place, and then it's nice to. I don't know if my parents knew your family from back home or anything, but it was like one of your uncles, like I still see around, and my dad still talks to him like pretty often and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's nice, like when everyone kind of still keeps in touch, and it's like, oh, Glen Shepherd, you know, like the Glen Shepherd street. That's our street name, but like like that clique.
Yes.
So how do you?
I'm still really good friends with Donna.
Yeah, I know. I see you in like all her like pictures and stuff. Like,
yeah,
I'm gonna have her on too. I'm like trying to like reel her.
She is amazing. Yes. The stuff that she's done for the TDCSB, so amazing. And she did a video for Tamil Heritage Month at the school.
Yeah, she sent me it, and it was really nice to watch.
For sure.
So how do you all know each other?
So interesting story. Supanki, I actually met when we were in Tamil school. So I think I had finished Tamil school, but one of my distant relatives, she used to take me to Tamil school, and then when I finished, she asked if I wanted to help out still, and I did want to do that. And Supanki was, I think she's 5 years younger than me. So when she was in grade 5, I was her assistant teacher.
Bossing me around. She's bossing me around.
She still does.
Yeah, we call her Natama in the Amudha group.
She's our Natama.
She's our Natama.
Not just Amudha group, like anywhere. She's our Natama.
Nice. And then how did Sharannya come into the picture?
And so they're both really good friends with one of my cousins, and you know, when your like family is close, you get to know the people that they're really good friends with. And I've known Sharannya and both of them actually like really well for the last 10 to 15 years. But Sharannya and I went on vacation together one year.
I think that's where we met actually. Like we
officially
because it was like 3 cousins, and they each bought one friend. Then I was
you were the plus one.
Yeah. And it's funny because in Dominican they all thought we were sisters.
Yeah.
And it was like the first time we've like met, and we clicked so well, and every time like, you guys are sisters. Yeah.
I actually felt like you guys kind of looked alike too. So I was like, maybe they're
it's funny because some of our baby picture, like our younger picture, we look very similar.
Yeah.
So weird.
When you said vacation, I was like, oh, maybe they went to like Europe, you know, like
no,
it was like a vacation, like
our Dominican trip.
It was a really good trip. I miss it.
Oh my god, I miss resorts so much. Like I can't, like every day I'm like, I can't wait to go back. I really
It's just the food.
The food,
24
the sun,
hours.
No stress. You just lay on the beach all day. It'll soon.
It'll come. It'll come.
And we'll appreciate it more because
exactly.
For so
long. Exactly.
So how did the idea for amuthalearns, like, or like even just this idea in itself, like how did it come about?
So I think everyone probably had this kind of idea somewhere in the back of their heads, just that fact that we don't have Tamil books that are really accessible for young kids. But I specifically remember calling Supanki because I wanted to read to my nephew. And because that's how I bonded with him, and I love reading, and I wanted to kind of pass that on to him. And I spent a lot of time reading with him, but in English. And it's interesting because Tamil has always been part of my identity, but I never really thought about it until I realized he wasn't really just picking up the language naturally.
Right.
And then I felt like, oh my God, like this is such an important thing that we need to pass on to the next generation. How do we do it? And I thought, you know, how am I doing it with other things? Well, it's through books, and I want to be passing that on through books. And I remember calling Supanki, and she had her son Bharati at the time, and you know, she's my go-to for anything Tamil, my Tamil guru. And I asked her, like, you know, is there anything, because when I go to the Tamil bookstore here, there's not that much, but maybe back home, maybe in India, is there other things? And she also had the same challenge because she was trying to get books from like her parents when they went back to get books for her, and she wasn't able to find. And then we kind of, in conversation, Sharannya also had similar challenges, and we thought about it and we said, why not do something? And at the time, it, you know, we weren't expecting it to be something like this.
Right.
I think it was just very casually like, okay, we'll make a book for some friends and us, and that's how it started. But I think we really put a lot of thought into who we wanted Amudha to be. And as we kind of started exploring that, we realized that there's so many important messages that we don't have an opportunity to talk about with our families because we don't have that mechanism to do that. And books would be a great way to do that. And because all of us are reading books to our kids, in the kids in our lives, right?
Sure.
And we recognize, like, Supanki's son actually recognized himself in one of the books, like Woke Baby, and it was about a Black baby. But that's the closest thing we have, for our own identity. And so it's that time and effort spent in thinking about who Amudha is and what we wanted Amudha to be for ourselves, but then we really wanted to give Amudha to the community and have the community embrace Amudha. And so we put a lot of thought into it. It's a long time coming, actually. It's almost 2 years that we worked on this project.
Oh, wow. So this wasn't like, oh, COVID hit, we're just kind of at
No.
home.
It just
Wow.
got mysterious during COVID.
Yeah.
I didn't even know I was pregnant at that time.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But just touching base on what you were saying about the lack of books, like I remember in grade 6, well, first I should ask, are the books written in Tamil or are they in English?
So we've combined it. And
Okay.
so one of the things that we did think about when we said, okay, let's write a book, we said, okay, like, what is the need? Like, what is missing? Representation, yes, is one. But another problem is, yeah, I can read Tamil, but a lot of my friends can't read Tamil, but now they're having babies and they want to be able to read to them and pass it on. So we said, okay, we need to create something like, but we were clear that we wanted a storybook. So
Yes.
like a bedtime story. But we said, okay, Liz, but how can we make this more accessible? So we said, okay, we're going to combine English and Tamil in a way where even people who don't know Tamil can read it. And so this book will have one word in Tamil per page, but it's a category of words. So it would be the first book, and it's a series, right? So it's not a single book, but it's about a 6-year-old girl named Amudha. And we wanted Amudha to be like how kids see Dora, for example. Like, you know, hopefully if this goes big, then they would want to wear Amudha's backpack and just walk and talk like Amudha. So that was our intention, for people to be interested in Tamil, both parents and children. So that's how we've done it. And we were a little nervous about doing that because we're like, okay, Tamil uncles are going to be upset by us. But, you know, we thought about it. And if you look at the evolution of Tamil, like, it's only survived because it's changed and adapted to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our logo, if you look at our logo, it's most people won't understand the letter in it, but it's actually on the first letter of the alphabet, like a previous script. And the reason, when we looked into like why this change, and we dug and dug, and it was a simple reason. People during that time just couldn't read it properly or write it properly, so they just decided to change it. It was simple as that. So we think like now in the diaspora, it's time for change. It's time for to make Tamil even more accessible for people and to gain interest. So we see this as an introductory to really celebrating Tamil and being inclusive.
Nice. Yeah, so when I was in grade 6, I started learning how to read Tamil. Sorry, I could speak, but I couldn't read Tamil. And I remember just not having, like, I was so excited that I could read this whole new language now and not having anything to read when I got home because I wanted to practice. I wanted to build on what I had learned in Tamil class. And because there was nothing that I wanted to read that, that interested me. I used to read like the Tamil newspaper, like the cinema section or the Kissu Kissu section, just so I can practice. And let me tell you, if as an 11-year-old, you should not be reading that. The comic strips, like I used to, like some of the jokes are still ingrained in my brain. They were so inappropriate for an 11-year-old. So I'm just glad, like I know this is just the beginning, and I'm sure. What age group right now are you targeting? Or like, what do you think would be more appropriate?
It's actually 0 to 5 because it's a board book, so it's easy accessible for kids to hold. And we kind of want to have this language. We're not going to say, "Oh, this is Tamil," like go learn it. It's just like it's subconsciously they'll just pick it up and read it as a bedtime story. So it's like a board book, so it's easy accessible. But that being said, it's for the older adults who obviously want to teach it to their kids, or they just want to pick it up and just read it for themselves.
Sure. Do you have any plans to expand for older children, or is this just let's get this done and rolling, and then we'll see like where it goes from here?
Yeah. So basically, we're gonna get that interest, right? So we're gonna want Amudha Loves to Read to be very successful. And from that on, we'll have many series and we'll develop that as we go. Supanki, do you want to add?
I do. So I think one of the things that we have to note is it did take us a long time to make the first book. And part of that is just doing anything new. It takes time to get, understand the industry and try to figure things out, which is important and good. Yeah. But even if it takes us 1/4 the time, that's a long time to wait for a book. Right. And so we can't just alone on our own create that library of books for Tamil kids. Yeah. And so what we want to do is inspire other people to write books as well. And I think there is a lot of opportunity. I think Amudha is going to open a lot of doors for us. It has really been our anchor during COVID. And it's been our motivation and inspiration. And I think I've heard from a lot of people, both within our community and other communities as well, that have reached out to us and said, this is an amazing idea. I can see why this would be so impactful for your community. We wish we had it in ours. And so we know that this is going to make a difference in people's lives. So we want to not just inspire people to learn and read, but we also want people to write and participate in this.
For sure. Now, how many books do you have so far?
Just the one.
Oh,
this
just
is our.
Oh no, yeah. Sorry. Because I know. So this is just the first book of a series of books that you will be.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay. Because I know you said series, and I was like, oh, I think they have more than. But this is just the first book.
Yeah.
We have the ideas, but we haven't fully fleshed it out. And that's another thing people should realize. Children's books may seem easy and simple, but it's a lot of effort because every page and every character has so much detail and thought put into it, and that takes time.
Yeah, definitely. Who did the art, if I can ask?
We have this amazing artist, Priya, who lives in Tamil Nadu. Okay. And actually, if you look at her artwork, it's beyond what I would have expected somebody of her age and skill. Like, she's just brilliant and very creative. And we were lucky enough to find her just through Instagram because we were looking at different people's artworks that we've found that were very talented, and there were so many, but we somehow kind of were attracted to her work, and we reached out, and she agreed to help. And we owe her a lot because she was able to bring Amudha to life in the way that we wanted.
Right. So why Amudha? Like, how did that name come about, or why did you zone in on that name?
I think Baju should answer on our inspirations, but in terms of the name itself, so Amuda in Tamil means amudam, which means sweet nectar. And there's a lot of poetry that uses that, comparing it to Tamil. So Tamiluk Amudan Repair is like a famous saying by a poet. And so we thought, it's a perfect name because we want to make Tamil learning sweet and pleasant, because a lot of people have really bad experiences in Tamil class. So we thought, like make Tamil fun, make Tamil engaging. So that's one of the reasons why we chose Amuda. And I also want to add, I know when we say 0 to 5, we mean like the board book. So even kids as young as just newborns can feel it and read it. But older kids can as well. With Tamil books, it's really hard to say an age group because one, it's the language learning, but also like we have like fun activities in the book, like find the monkey, where is the monkey? Or we have Tamil quotes in there with Bharadiyar quotes all over, like just as house decor. So we're giving like doses of literature. So older kids can also look at that and learn and go to our website to find out more. So, but kids as young as 0 can also read the book. But I'll let Vadu talk about the inspiration.
So when we were talking about doing the book, I kind of immediately thought of one of my cousins, and her name is Avvaiyaar. And the reason she kind of felt relevant to me is she seemed bold and curious and courageous, and she really had this motto of be yourself, be who you want to be, and don't let anybody shut you down. And that seemed like such an amazing quality that I think we had been told a lot of different things, be polite, be mild, don't speak up too much, and things like that. And all of those things that may have affected the rest of us hadn't affected or fazed her. And I was so inspired by that. And I thought, we need that kind of personality for all the young Tamil kids in our lives. And somebody actually said to me, why a girl and why not a boy? And again, we don't question whether a boy can be a hero to a girl.
Right.
But sometimes we question why a girl can be a hero to a boy. And that's crazy because, if there's things about Amuda that you can, associate with or that you can relate to, then she's for everyone.
Yeah.
That her gender doesn't define her.
For sure, definitely.
Yeah.
Fearless Avvaiyaar. Okay, so Avvaiyaar I thought was this old lady, the vibhuti, and she sang, Nyana Palatte, like that's Avvaiyaar. That was her name, which is what I've been thinking all this time. And then Sharannya, you told me that I was wrong, basically.
Well, we did. Supanki is a lot versed when it comes to historical facts, so we're so thankful that she's part of this team because she knows so much about the historical fact. She told us that Avvaiyaar is actually a title given to women poet. It's the misconception that it's just one. Avvaiyaar is just a one person. So we thought, why not? So all three of us combined, so we're the Fearless Avvaiyaar, and I'm sure Supanki, you can elaborate a little bit more.
I think you explained it perfectly.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, we just had a little like intergenerational person just walk into which is also part of the book. Amuda has an intergenerational family.
So that's the other aspect, right, about Amuda is that, our kids, like the books that we have, not only can we not read it, but we, like growing up, we didn't see ourselves in books, right? So I remember as a child, I was so into Pocahontas because she was like the only brown, princess out there. And then, much later, I find the real history and then you get traumatized. But growing up, that was the only like princess that I was able to relate to.
Right.
But so what we wanted was, okay, there's already Tamil books with ammas and saris and appas and birdies reading, but I'm like, what else do we want to do past language learning? Because we're not Tamil experts, but yes, we want to make it accessible, but what else? So we said, we want to tackle issues of gender norms. So we don't want, not that, moms can't cook and dads can't go to work, but kids need to see everything. And not just that, like Anna's going to dance class and everybody being celebrating body positivity, like everybody being in different shapes and skin tones. So if you see all our characters, everybody will have varying skin tones, body shapes. Appa is a lot skinnier than Amma is a lot bigger. And, you know, I personally relate to that because everybody makes fun of me and my husband, who's a lot skinnier, and asks if he's my brother because he looks younger. So, so we wanted to break all of that, and we were able to use all of our personal experiences and kind of put it. But when you see the book, you'll see that Appa is in the kitchen. And the kitchen will look modern, with the modern kitchen, like just like how it is in the diaspora. But right. Appa will be making muruk with Amada. So just things like that. So we wanted to, and so kids, like our kids, can see themselves represented properly in books.
Nice. And what other topics or issues that do you deal with in the first book, or you plan to deal with in future books? Like, can someone like elaborate a little bit more on that?
So in the first book, it's a lot about gender norms, colorism, body positivity, and intergenerational relationships. Just recognizing that in the Tamil community, we may have our grandparents living with us, and what the benefits of that are. And but in the future books, we've talked about a number of different topics, but the essence of it is we want to be inclusive. We want to create an avenue for people to have those difficult conversations, especially if it's about things in the community, which, like mental health, for instance.
Yes.
Our community really struggles with that, but how do we have those conversations? Certain illnesses that people may have a hard time talking about, accessibility challenges. And so really finding ways to make it acceptable, make people feel like they're invited in rather than shunned out.
So just even with the mental health issues, I know, like for me, I've always felt like our parents' generation is one generation, but our generation is going to be a lot better. But that's not necessarily the case, because our parents pass on whatever they're feeling on to us, right? And I've seen so many situations where people that are my age or even younger than me, just the idea of acknowledging that there might be a mental health issue here or something, they don't want to do it because the stigma that's attached to that. And I just found that I was just like flabbergasted. I was like, I mean, like you're our age. Like, how are you reacting to this in this manner when, you know, you were raised here, you were born and raised here?
But I think it's always different when it's not you. Like when it's not you, it's so much easier to deal with. Yeah. When it's me, then it's so much harder. And I remember there was one time where somebody said to me, you know, are you depressed? And it was such like, it felt like an attack on me as a person. And I had to really find every way to prove that I wasn't because that's just, I'm strong. There's no way that I could be. And so if we're struggling with it, then obviously people who don't have an understanding of it because they don't have the words that make sense to them about those things, then how are they going to have those conversations?
Sure.
And I think there's a lot of unconscious bias that we suffer with, and a lot of imposter syndrome as well, where we feel like we're not good enough. You know, why me? And that's something that is that we really talked about, because in the beginning we felt it too. It's like, oh my God, who are we to write a children's book? I even felt nervous about saying I'm writing a children's book to people, and then I'd qualify it like, don't worry, it's not like being published in Amazon or. Because I'm like, oh, people are gonna
that, but why?
Yeah, because I think everyone's gonna criticize me. Who am I? What do I know about Tamil? Why should I be doing this? And then I realized, no, it doesn't matter. We need people to take initiative and just do, because if we wait around for that right person to come along, nothing will ever get done. And so, you know, don't look for somebody else to do something. Try to figure out how to do it yourself. And really, that has been our motto. And that's something I think we've been really proud of is, you know, before in the past, we've complained about things, but this is our initiative where we went from complaining about it to taking it to action. And that for us fills us with so much pride.
And I, for one, I'm so happy that you guys even did this, because I'm always stressing the importance of reading. I'm always, especially with like my nieces and nephews, all the time. And I feel like they just like, like, you know, like just stop talking. And for Christmas, for a couple of the older ones, we got them books as their gift. And I don't think I'm like I'm not on the favorite ad list right now. What?
But they will appreciate it later for sure.
Yes.
Trust.
I'm like, they're gonna hate
they
me
will
right
appreciate
now,
it.
but later on, you know,
And
they're
you know,
gonna thank me for it.
that's the other thing, right? Because on social media, like a lot of people are starting to talk about these things and within the community. So when you look at when you're in the social media world and you're looking at all the conversations that's happening, it's great, but it's not translated at home because there's this disconnect between generations as well, right?
Yeah.
So what we want to do, and children's book are a great way, because now with the Tamil children's book, both if you can read Tamil and if you can't read Tamil, you can still read it together. So whether it's your grandparents or your parents or your kids, like everybody can like it's going to be at home, and they'll be having these conversations like, oh, like why does Amma look bigger than Appa, or why is a boy like dancing, why is a boy in dance class, and having conversations like that with, like, even I can have that conversation with my parents when I'm teaching it to my son, because all three generations can sit together and now read this, right? And these are like with mental health in the future series, that's what we're aiming to tackle, because like personally, like my cousin died by suicide 2 years ago, and he was only 17 years old, and you know that really crushed our family. But I went to therapy after that, and because I went to therapy, I was, now when I have, you know, other issues in my life, I am not completely broken, because I am able to use the techniques and strategies that my therapist has given me and apply it now. And you know, things like it's okay to cry, it's okay to be sad, it's okay to do nothing, where I was always on the go and I always thought I always had to do something, right? So like just slowing down, accepting I feel defeated today, but not in a way where I tell myself that no, like you failed in life, but saying no, I need a break. Like that's all important. And I think even creating Amuda for all of us, this is our mental health you know, practice. Like this is what keeps us going, and it takes away all of our stress. I mean, this involves a lot of stress, but
Yeah.
But it's good stress.
It has certainly helped, because I've had throughout, so you know, like pregnancy hormones, and then there's like postpartum and everything, and then you really do need to get the help that you need, and that's been such a leverage for us to just keep focus on many things that we can't really control. So this is something that, you know, we really take it to heart.
So I know amuthalearns, you can order right now, you can pre-order. Kickstarter, does anyone want to explain that whole process?
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Baj is a Kickstarter guru right now. So for future projects, anyone's listening who really wants to know what to do, just contact me.
And she's a leadership coach as well, but we get free service all the time. But if
whether they want to or not.
Yeah.
But with Kickstarter, one of the reasons we wanted to go down the Kickstarter path is because actually we were working with Tamil culture, talking about this project, and one of the co-founders, Ara, actually you know, mentioned Kickstarter to us and said, why don't you look at this avenue? And when we looked at it, it was so intriguing because it's a platform for creative people to take their ideas to the public and have people that are passionate about those kinds of products support them in getting those products made.
Yes.
And, you know, we're fortunate enough that we're, you know, at a point in our careers where we could reach into our own networks and try to raise funds personally and make these projects happen. But we thought, actually, like, what a service it would be for the Tamil community to kind of introduce them to Kickstarter so that other people know about it.
Right.
And so if people want to write it could be writing books, making films, comic books, whatever you can imagine. If you put it out there, it's an opportunity for you to see, is there a need? Right. I feel there's a need. I'm passionate about this, but is this connecting with other people? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the magic of the platform, is being able to see that, because people have to buy into your product before they actually see it, feel it, touch it.
Right. Because I mean, there could be a lot of people sitting, watching this even and thinking like, oh, I had this great idea, but I didn't know, like, would people actually buy this? Would people be interested in this? And like you said, it's not just about raising the funds, but seeing, is there a need for this? Are people, is this going to be accepted, by
Yes.
people, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's such a great idea. Now, the goal, maybe someone can talk about the goal. How did you even arrive at that figure? Like, how did that process work?
So it took us a bit of time to figure it out. Even on our Kickstarter page, we kind of break down our numbers and talk about where the costs are going. But one of the things that we had to learn pretty quickly is that if we wanted to make board books, they only get made overseas. And they get printed in bulk and then they get shipped here. So you can't just go and order, like, can I get 10 board books from a store? Like, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
That factored into our cost. And then because of COVID, we couldn't think about having people come and pick up books, especially if we wanted to sell a large quantity. That wasn't going to be a feasible way. And we didn't know what was going to happen June, July timeframe. So we needed to take into account delivery fees as well. So it's a lot of it has to do with printing, delivery fees. And then we recruited talented people, whether it's our artist, our filmmaker who made those 2 beautiful videos that was shared, or our website designer who helped us put together that website. And then there's a lot of people that are behind the scenes helping us, just even answering questions, giving us feedback. We had focus groups which gave us insights into how people were feeling and thinking. So I come from a consulting background, and I often go into banks and financial institutions to give them advice on how to release a product or launch something. And in this case, taking some of that and applying it to this project and thinking about how to come up with the cost and the budget. And then Kickstarter also gives you a lot of suggestions and advice. And one thing that people will do is really underestimate, because they're nervous or scared to ask for the amount that they need.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, that's a lot of money. Will I even make it?
Yeah.
But you can't, because then it's cutting into your, like, where are you going to get the money from?
Sure.
And there's always these hidden expenses and costs that will come up. So you really have to be as conservative as possible in coming up with a budget with enough buffer.
Yeah.
That you can account for those overflows.
For sure. So the goal right now is $25,001.
Yeah.
Is that $1? Is that like the lucky Tamil?
Yeah, it's a Tamil thing. That $1.
So where are you at right now?
I think it's 17,770.
Yeah,
Wow.
we're almost at that 18
Almost
mark.
there.
Yeah.
And the deadline to pre-order is?
February 11th, but we really encourage people not to wait till February 11th to pre-order your books. If people are having a hard time figuring out how to use the Kickstarter page, we have great instructions on www.amuthalearns.com. And it's like step-by-step guide on how to make your decision. There's a number of packages that are available from $10 to $1,000 if you want to be a corporate sponsor. A book itself is $25. So if you just want to get a book, that's there. But then there's also merch that you can get with the merch. And it's really, don't think of it as you're buying a book. Think of it as you're part of this bigger cause and movement where, we're trying to make Tamil much more accessible and inclusive for everyone. And that starts with our young kids, right? If we introduce Tamil to them and make it cool and interesting for them, they will embrace it way better than we have, I think.
Yes. I got mine, so you guys all go get yours, okay? Like, seriously. And I saw the mug and I was like, I need a mug. Like, I collect mugs, so I'm like, I need the package with a mug, please. So yeah, like, I'm gonna put all that information in the bottom. So the website and then your IG, maybe someone can just run through again, like which ways, your email address, those things, how can they contact you?
Yes, so our email address is amuthalearns@gmail.com. You can go to our website, www.amuthalearns.com. And our Instagram is handle is at amuthalearns. So
And Amutha is spelled as AMUTHALEARNS.com. And you can also call if you find ordering through Kickstarter difficult, you can actually give us a call as well. And the number is?
Oh yeah. It's my number. It's 647-544-3654. So my name's Sharannya. Again, if you're having some difficulties, I can go through the steps with you, or find other venues to place the order. So my phone number is 647-544-3654.
I feel like that was like you were leaving a voicemail for somebody, and then you
Please call me
number
back
at the end. You know.
Thanks for reaching me.
oh, by the way, the voice on our second video, Nanam Tamil Dan, was Sharannya. And wow, like
it's like people know me as like this diabolical, like loud, and they'll be like, "Is this you? Like, how come you never talk to me like this?" I'm like, "You don't deserve that voice."
I was watching this video actually recently of it was like an old dance video from York days, and it was just something that was just shot randomly. We just decided to do this little choreographed little routine that me and a couple other girls had done, and Sharannya was in the audience, like just like the people that were watching us do it, and I could hear Sharnya's voice so like this like Milani, like the way she sang, like, I'm like, Sharannya, like I swear that's
saying, her voice is magical in that video. So
yes.
Like, you can talk like that. I've known Sharannya since grade 10, and the first time I met her,
no one.
I'm like, I like this girl, and our mutual friend just kept bringing her everywhere, and I'm like, why are you bringing her? I don't like her. She's so like rude, and she just stares at you, and like has this like tone I don't like. And but then and now look at us, we're best friends. But but I was still surprised to hear her voice.
Yeah,
I was like, wow, Sharannya can be this cool.
It's a lot of editing. I honestly, as we said, we like to thank Sky Mist Films. He's the one who did our promo video and even the editing for Non-Tumulan.
Yeah.
So we're so thankful. I mean, he's a young kid who's still in university, but his vision and like how things are running, it's beyond words.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you ladies want to add? Anything that you feel like you missed out?
We just want to thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so
Well,
much.
The reason I asked was for that, really. Like, I'm like, and you guys, some compliments, and
honestly, you made us feel so comfortable, because it does feel like I'm chatting with an old friend, and it turns out I am.
Yeah.
But it was really enjoyable, because I was a little bit nervous about coming on a podcast, but I didn't even feel it. So great job.
Thank you so much, all of you, for coming.
No, thank you for the opportunity, because I think we need these platforms to talk about what we're doing and why it's important. And thank you for people like you who are giving us that opportunity. But you were also one of the first ones to reach out to us. So really, really thankful.
And keep doing what you're doing as well. Like, I love it. Like, when I really related to your first one, and I messaged your husband right away. I'm like, oh gosh, this is amazing. I'm like, tell her to keep going.
Now you should start messaging Nilani straight.
I love how casual it is, as everybody said. So good job.
Thank you guys. Thank you. So you guys know where to reach amuthalearns on Instagram, and they have their email address, they have their website. I'm going to put it all in the description below so you guys know where to go. Please do go and get yours. Okay, like I said, I got mine. Go get yours, and don't wait till the last minute. Don't do the brown thing. We're not doing that this time. Okay, we're gonna get it now. You watch this video right after this, go and get it. Don't put it off. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can DM me or text me, email me with any suggestions, feedback that you might have. I am always welcome to it. Grateful, thankful, blessed. Peace. So I'm going to get everyone to smile and look at the camera. 1, 2, 3. Let me just make sure that worked. I'm really technologically inept. Like, it's like terrible. I'm
Nilani meet Supanki. Supanki meet Nilani.
Is it just lawyers? Like,
I don't know.
Wait, guys,
Oh, there's that common.
Sanya hates it when I go into Google Drive. She's like, just don't go.
Don't touch it. Don't do anything. Like, you know, Supanki's been in there without her telling. You know this new thing now, like this trend, like tell me something to do without telling you exactly what you're doing. That'll be Supanki.
And it's also Baju, so she probably terrorized her too.
No, I only remember pleasant
See?
experiences.
Thank you. Thank you. Tell them.